And good evening, I'm Erin Burnett. Out front tonight, a secret Trump tape. Tonight, I can tell you, there is a tape. The president's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, recording a conversation he had with Donald Trump about paying off a Playboy model who claims a year-long affair with Trump. Now, the tape that we know about was recorded just before the election. It's now in the hands of the FBI. According to the president's current attorney, Rudy Giuliani, on the tape, Cohen and Trump discuss buying the rights to Playboy model Karen McDougal's story from the National Enquirer's parent company. And, well, here's the thing. The tape shows that Team Trump lied. First of all, Trump's team denied even knowing that the National Enquirer ever paid McDougal for her story. Trump's spokeswoman at the time, Hope Hicks, said of that payment, quote, "We have no knowledge of any of this." And she also said McDougal's claim of an affair with Mr. Trump was totally untrue. For his part, Trump has remained uncharacteristically silent about his relationship with McDougal.
Thank you all very much.
Secretary Schultz, is Karen McDougal lying about the affairs?
President Karen McDougal telling the truth.
Mr. President, any comment on Mrs. McDougal?
Maybe he didn't want to lie directly to the cameras on that one, but McDougal did speak out to the camera at length.
There were real feelings between the two of us, not just myself, not just him. There was a real relationship there, and I kind of out of sight, out of mind with everything else. And, you know, deep inside, I did have a lot of guilt, but I still continued.
This all happened, of course, around the same time Cohen was paying off Stormy Daniels to keep quiet about her alleged one-night stand with Trump, a story Trump also appears to have lied about. Remember, Trump said this just a few months ago about that hush payment.
Did you know about the $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels?
No.
Why did Michael Cohen make it if there was no truth to her allegations?
Well, you have to ask Michael Cohen. Michael's my attorney, and you'll have to ask Michael Cohen.
Do you know where he got the money to make that payment?
I don't know.
No. Until Giuliani said the president did know because he repaid that payoff.
Funneled through the law firm, and the president repaid it.
Oh, I didn't know he did.
Yeah.
Now, just to be clear, not only did the president repay it, the New York Times reports, citing two sources, that Trump knew about the repayment well before he lied about it on Air Force One. And tonight, CNN is learning that Michael Cohen has more tapes of Trump, and Evan Perez is out front. I mean, Evan, more tapes. That has got to be one of the last things Team Trump wants to hear.
Yeah, you would imagine so, Erin. The idea that Michael Cohen had this habit of recording conversations that he had with important people, that's what we're learning from Rudy Giuliani and from other sources who have been briefed on these recordings, which obviously are now in the hands of the investigators. The question there is, who are those people that are on those tapes? What kind of information was being discussed? Could that be something that could be embarrassing or could cause some legal problems for those people? It does appear that Michael Cohen's investigation, which is being done by the prosecutors in Manhattan, federal prosecutors in Manhattan, could end up widening because of this.
So, I mean, this is obviously a crucial point you make, Evan. I mean, and what more do we know about this specific recording between Cohen and Trump about the Playboy model Karen McDougal?
Right. So this recording was made in early September of 2016. A month earlier is when Karen McDougal had signed an agreement with AMI, the publisher of the National Enquirer, for the rights to her story about her alleged affair with Donald Trump. Now, according to people we've talked to, this recording rather is under 2 minutes. That's what a source told our Cara Scannell. So the question is, what exactly, what does this mean for the investigation? What does this mean for the president? People close to the president, including Rudy Giuliani, says this is no big deal. This is actually not going to be a problem for the president. But others who we've talked to say that there is an issue here for the president and for his legal team to take care of. Obviously, we know that Michael Cohen's been sending signals that he wants to cooperate with prosecutors and the FBI. We just heard just today that he met with Al Sharpton, the Reverend Al Sharpton, to talk, I guess, have a 1.5 hour discussion. Apparently, that's another sign that Michael Cohen is sending out there that he wants to try to make a deal, perhaps, with prosecutors. We do not know at this point, Aaron, whether prosecutors want him to provide any information or whether they're going to try to charge him.
All right. Thank you very much, Evan Perez. I mean, in a sense, it sort of seems like by putting this stuff out there, whoever is, you know, if he wanted to do a deal with him, he could do it without playing this in the media. But that's a big question. Out front now, Carrie Cordero, former counsel to the U.S. Assistant Attorney General for National Security. Harry Sandick, former Assistant U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, where, of course, the investigation to Cohen is in full swing. And April Ryan, White House correspondent for American Urban Radio Networks. Harry, you're with me. According to Trump's own lawyer, this is not the only recording. Okay,
Yep.
So they are admitting, obviously, because they think we're all going to find out at some point.
Yep.
We might as well get it out there, right? But how damaging could this tape be, this one about Karen McDougal? It's short, but we know it's about something that they said, Team Trump said, the president knew nothing about, and obviously he did.
Yeah, with every inconsistency, would become harder for Trump and his team to defend against any claim. On the substance, it sounds like this is some sort of a reimbursement that's being made, that essentially AMI was an intermediary making a payment to McDougal with the knowledge, perhaps, that Trump and his team were going to then reimburse them in order to help kill this story, whereas McDougal thought that she was selling the story in order maybe to become famous or profit off of her prior connection to Trump.
So the National Enquirer parent company, which of course is owned by a friend of Trump's,
Exactly.
they really were working together, is what this appears to show, which, you know,
Yeah.
not a surprise, but discussing it as opposed to just implicitly doing it. I mean, Carrie, Team Trump is trying to say, look, this is not a legal problem for the president, but that sounds like spin.
I think to the extent there might be a legal problem to the president, it's whether or not this could potentially be interpreted, the payment could be interpreted as being some kind of campaign finance violation, whether or not it's a reporting violation or whether the payment is a payoff that could be construed as some kind of loan to the campaign. And from that perspective, the timing of these alleged payoffs, I think, makes sense, because if it was, the closer you get to the election, so if this took place in September of 2016, the closer we get to the election, the closer it starts to look like it really was intended to affect the election. And then, of course, the content of that phone call is what matters. In the phone call that's now recorded and in government possession, if the phone call between Donald Trump and Michael Cohen reveals that there was a payment being made for a particular purpose, that would be very relevant.
I mean, April, you know, when he was told about the tape, according to a source, the president said, quote, "I can't believe Michael would do this to me." But given some of the, I mean, there's been reporting showing what the president really thought about Cohen, that Cohen was aware of, that's pretty negative. And even if the president, you know, looked yesterday, he tweeted something nasty about the media, as he is off to do. Michael Cohen took the other side, trolling the president on Twitter, saying freedom of the press is not just important to democracy, it is democracy, right? So that's what he responds. It's Walter Cronkite, quote, in response to Trump calling fake news the enemy of the people. The Wall Street Journal reported recently, April, that in 2009, Cohen's working for Trump, right? Trump tried to push him out and cut his salary in half, okay? Now, when someone cuts your salary in half, you know what they think of you, which means Cohen knew what Trump thought of him since at least 2009. Why is Trump surprised that Cohen was keeping tapes of anything that could make him look bad?
You know, I don't know why the president is acting surprised. He has thrown Michael Cohen under the bus recently, and even back then, cutting the salary was, you know, sometimes people have a tendency to still want to gravitate to power and stay around power. But, you know, even though he may have cut his salary, he was still in the inner circle, introducing him to people and things of that nature. But going back to something that you asked earlier, you know, about the president being in trouble, I talked to Maryland Congressman Elijah Cummings today, the leader, Democratic leader of government oversight and Reform Committee, and he said that the FBI has more tapes than we know and that Trump knows, and the president feels like he's backed up against the wall. And not only that, he's expecting more indictments. And what this president is doing, and like he's saying about Michael Cohen right now, you know, oh, I'm surprised at Michael Cohen. What he is doing now is throwing a bunch of wet spaghetti noodles up against the wall to see what sticks. Michael Cohen is done. He's through. He's trying to cooperate and give the tapes, what have you. This president is in trouble, and he needs to look at at it as such.
So, Harry, according to Giuliani, the president's current attorney, Trump did not know he was being recorded. Now, I can't believe that to be true. I remember a conversation I had with Trump in which he said, because we were talking about the Bank of China, International Bank of China being in Trump Tower, and I said, don't you think they must be recording all your phone calls? And he said, I'm in real estate in New York, Aaron. I have assumed someone is recording every call I ever made. This is what he said, okay?
Yep.
So do you really believe him that he didn't have any idea, or do you think he just trusted Cohen so blindly?
I think he trusted Cohen, and I think also lawyers don't generally tape record their clients. I've never heard of it. It's a very unusual thing to do.
Is it unethical?
It may well be unethical because you have a duty of loyalty to your client. You're not supposed to be gathering tapes of your client potentially to use to protect yourself or to hold him hostage or something. I don't want to paint the president as a victim here. It doesn't sound like that. But on the question of should you expect that your lawyer is tape recording you, no, you really shouldn't expect that.
I mean, Kara, do you think it's unethical? I mean, forget what we learn about Trump and what people think about Trump and what he did and forget that, right? Is it wrong and unethical that Cohen did it?
Well, I don't know any reputable lawyers that would do that. And I think probably the New York bar has some guidance regarding the duties of lawyers and whether or not it's ethical for them to record clients. It's not normal practice. I think the bar, not that bar rules are something that Michael Cohen, that's at the top of his list of concerns, but I wouldn't be surprised if the New York bar looked at it. It's not normal practice. It might be one of the reasons, I think, perhaps, that Donald Trump relied on Michael Cohen so much for a variety of dealings was because he thought that using a lawyer, sometimes people use a lawyer because then they feel like it's more protected.
Right. It's like he does think people are recording. Donald Trump knows full well in New York State only one person has to want to record. He probably recorded other people, right? But Cohen would have been the person maybe that was able to pull the wool over his eyes. I mean, April, the other thing, though, is that Giuliani's out seeming eager, right, to talk about the existence of this tape. Look, the tape may prove a lie, but as Carrie points out and Harry points out, it's unclear legally what it might eventually mean. Is it possible the president would rather this be out than, let's say, the summit with Putin continually being discussed? I'm sorry.
Well, you know, yeah, when it comes to Putin, that's a very deep, according to Cummings again, that's a very deep national security issue that he's very concerned about. And of course they want to take that off the table. But Rudy Giuliani is very clearly trying to put something else on the table to distract. But at the same time, he wants this to play out in the court of public opinion. This may not play out as well as they think. It's too much going on. Look at it, just the last couple of weeks, you've had zero tolerance, separation of children from their parents, whether it's from Mexico or wherever, zero tolerance. Then you had the Putin press conference that was hell on wheels for some, and now this. It's just too much, too fast, and Republicans are turning their nose and putting their head down, but it's in your face. It's a lot going on, and it's all negative for this president.